All right, so today we are diving deep into avian influenza
Sounds like a plan.
and how it's impacting, well, something everyone's probably got in their fridge right now.
Eggs.
Exactly, eggs.
Yeah.
We've got two sources to help us crack this whole thing open.
Okay.
One, a research update from the USGS, that's the U.S. Geological Survey,
Right.
about how scientists are tracking the virus in wild birds,
Mm.
and then a Q&A with experts from UC Riverside
Uh-huh.
about how this is all hitting us in the wallet.
The economic side.
Exactly, especially those soaring egg prices everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
So are you ready to get clued in on bird flu?
Let's hatch this plan.
Okay, first things first, can you give us like a super quick rundown on what avian influenza actually is?
Sure. So avian influenza or bird flu is a virus
Okay.
that affects birds, obviously.
Right.
There are different types, some mild and others that are highly pathogenic,
Okay,
which means they can cause serious illness.
gotcha.
And the kind we're seeing now, the H5N1 strain, is one of those troublemakers, especially for chickens raised on farms.
Right, and the USGS research mentioned that while it doesn't usually cause severe illness in wild birds,
Right.
it's a totally different story for poultry.
Absolutely. We've seen the impact of that firsthand with these recent outbreaks.
Yeah.
The UC Riverside article had a truly staggering number.
Okay.
Over 157 million chickens
Oh.
have been culled since January of 2024 to try and contain this virus.
157 million. No wonder egg prices have gone through the roof.
It's classic supply and demand.
Yeah.
You take that many egg-laying chickens out of the picture,
Right.
and you've got a much smaller supply trying to meet the same demand.
Yeah.
Prices are going to spike, and as the UC Riverside folks pointed out,
Yeah.
it's those who can least afford it that are hit hardest.
Right.
Eggs are a relatively cheap source of protein, so this price hike
Yeah.
really impacts those vulnerable populations.
It's a real domino effect.
It is.
So the USGS research is all about tracking the virus in wild birds, and it sounds like they're particularly interested in Alaska.
Yes.
So what's so special about Alaska when we're talking about bird flu?
Well, think of Alaska as like the Grand Central Station
Okay.
for bird migration.
Uh-huh.
It's this key location because it sits right on the routes for birds traveling between North America and Asia.
Wow.
So that makes it a gateway for viruses moving between continents.
So these birds are flying thousands of miles potentially with the virus just hitching a ride along the way.
Yeah, and the USGS research found more of these intercontinental viruses
Wow.
in Alaska than anywhere else in North America.
That seems like a pretty big deal.
It is, and that's why understanding bird migration patterns,
Okay.
these flyways as they're called, is so crucial for both tracking and predicting how avian influenza might spread.
So these flyways are like highways in the sky.
A very good analogy.
And Alaska is a major intersection point. The USGS mentioned focusing on specific types of birds, like northern pintails, emperor geese, and glaucous-winged gulls.
Yeah.
Why those birds specifically?
So they're not just any birds, they're kind of like the avian influenza canaries in the coal mine,
Gotcha.
helping scientists see where the virus might be heading next.
So by studying these birds and where they go,
Right.
scientists can get a better idea of how the virus is moving around.
Exactly.
Okay, and to take things a step further,
Yes.
they're using this technique called genome sequencing to track the virus on an even deeper level.
Right.
So imagine being able to track the virus's every move,
Uh-huh.
like a detective following footprints.
Yes.
That's what genome sequencing lets scientists do.
That's a good way to put it.
So they're basically cracking the virus's code
Exactly.
to see how it spreads.
They're using this advanced technology to get a detailed and rapid picture of the virus's genetic makeup.
And that's how they found out about the virus being transported all the way from Asia to Alaska by birds, right?
That's right. They discovered evidence of a complete genome virus that made that very journey.
Wow.
It really highlights just how global this issue is.
Yeah, it's amazing how science can track something so tiny,
Mm-hmm.
traveling such vast distances.
It is amazing.
But we've got this virus moving around, impacting wild birds, causing real problems in the poultry industry,
Yeah,
not to mention our wallets.
right.
So what are the long-term implications here?
That's the big question.
Yeah, is this the new normal for egg production?
It's tough to say for sure, but one thing is absolutely clear.
Okay.
Biosecurity on poultry farms is more crucial than ever to try and prevent future outbreaks.
The UC Riverside experts definitely stress that prevention is key.
Yes.
Especially since there isn't any treatment for highly pathogenic avian influenza in chickens
No.
once they're infected.
Right.
And remember, it's not just about keeping the chickens safe.
No.
Waterfowl, like ducks and geese,
Uh-huh.
can spread the virus without even getting sick themselves. Wait, so ducks can spread the virus without even getting sick?
That's right.
That's terrifying.
It's a tricky situation.
It is. So if there's no treatment and prevention is so difficult, what can be done? Is there any hope?
Well, this outbreak might actually be the push we need to make some changes. We could see more investment in biosecurity measures, potentially a shift towards more animal-friendly production methods,
Right.
and hopefully more government support for disease monitoring and research.
You mentioned animal-friendly methods, but what are the trade-offs there?
Yeah.
Are we talking about more expensive eggs?
That's a great question, and one that we should explore further.
Yeah.
You know, it's all connected. The way
Okay.
we raise chickens, the cost of eggs, and the spread of this virus.
Okay, so we've established this isn't just a bird problem.
Right.
It's an economic problem, too.
Yeah.
So will we ever see egg prices return to what they were before the outbreak?
It's possible.
Okay.
But there are a lot of factors at play, as one of the UC Riverside experts, Bruce Babcock, explained. Yeah. Egg producers are working hard to replace those culled flocks, but new hens don't start laying eggs overnight.
So even if things calm down right now, it would still take a while
Right.
for the supply to catch back up. How long are we talking?
Well, it takes about 5 to 6 months for chicks to mature and start
Halfway.
producing eggs.
Gotcha.
So realistically, it will be a while before we see any significant change in the supply
Right.
or prices, and that's assuming the virus itself recedes. If we keep seeing outbreaks and culling, it'll take even longer.
Yeah, this whole situation has a lot of moving parts.
It does.
Aside from budgeting extra for omelets,
Yeah.
what does all this mean for the average person?
Well, the avian influenza outbreak is a stark reminder of just how interconnected our world really is. A virus circulating in wild birds can disrupt global supply chains,
Right.
impact food prices,
Yeah.
and raise serious questions about how we manage agricultural practices.
It's a big wake-up call.
It is.
It makes us think about balancing efficient food production
Right.
with disease prevention and, animal welfare, too.
Absolutely.
It seems like we need to be a lot more vigilant and prepared on a global scale
I agree.
if something like this can happen so easily.
Yeah, we need to be proactive in monitoring these diseases, investing in research and prevention, and really considering those long-term consequences of our actions for
Well,
both ourselves and the environment.